Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, and we are once again delving into the world of crowdfunded comics. And boy, this is the night that I truly hope that our wrench is in the audience. Heroinberg, if you're here already, give us a hell yeah or an amen or whatever it is that people do to say. Give us a hail. Because this is a campaign that is right up your alley. We are talking about the Super G.A.L.S, and G.A.L.S here stands for the Guild of Augmented Law Enforcement Specialists. What did you think? You've got to change your thinking if you were thinking of something, sexist or 60s Mad Men or kind of thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with you guys. Anyway, tonight we would like to welcome to the show Mr. Bill Guerra, who is the creator behind the Super G.A.L.S team for All American Comics. How are you, sir?
Hey, I am all right, thanks.
Oh, so what's? I'm going to ask what's the inspiration here. I'm sitting here thinking I already know it's AC Comics FemForce, but
actually, not really. No,
Well,
I'm
vaguely
familiar with FemForce, but not overly so.
Well, I liked FemForce. I know it's a big influence on Heroinberg's Heroinberg comic, so. That's why I was kind of throwing a teasing shot out to him. Woody Muller is out in the chat. Woody, welcome. Thank you for being out here. Appreciate it. Guardians ad litem. Yeah, I don't think that I wouldn't mind them, taking charge of me for a little while if that's what they have to do. This is your first comic campaign. Is it your first comic?
It's my first graphic novel, not my first comic per se. Over the years, I've done I guess e-comics. I've done comic books like indie black and white. I've done
counts.
What's that?
That counts.
Yeah. I mean, it all counts. It's all comic work, but graphic novel wise, I mean, I've never done something that's 68 pages before, so this is like a behemoth for me. It took me 2 years to get through it because I was working. And we had mandatory overtime and 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts. Some days I can only sit down for like an hour and draw, and then that was it. They gave us, Sundays off to be nice, and
that's nice of
them. That I had to do my laundry and go grocery shopping, and then I'd have to come in and draw, and it's like, it's summer, it's nice. I was like, last thing I want to do is be indoors and drawing right now because I don't have anything off for the next 6 days. So it was really a labor of love and kind of keeping my eye on the prize down the road. And I had actually had a business partner. He was the writer and I was the artist. And so his name was Dale. And so we created most of the characters together. A few of them I created going back into the 90s. back when I was like still a teenager and stars in my eyes, and I'm going to join Image Comics and
who did
become a millionaire and all that kind of stuff. Before the comics speculator bubble burst and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, Dale died of pancreatic cancer a few years ago, and he left me all the characters. He was like, "Hey, do whatever you want, or not do. I'm just leaving it up to you." He wished me luck and everything. And so I promised him I was going to keep his name in the credits, like anything I do with them, like characters created by, and, his name and my name will be there. And I still have an unused plot that he came up with, which I'm hoping I can get to one day. I actually have 6 books plotted. I really went on a crazy spree. And this is the first one. From this point, though, I'm only doing 48 pages because that extra 20, on the one hand, it sounds like, it's 20 pages, but that's a whole book.
The whole comic book.
So I'm definitely keeping myself to 48 moving forward. But, when he died, that was a pretty big deal. And I had also, there was a young lady in my life, and then she wasn't in my life. And so I had a broken heart, and I was not in the best of places. So I went and saw a therapist, and he found out I was an artist and everything. And he was like, "Hey, why don't you use that to like do a comic or something to kind of be a form of therapy?" And, first I was like, "Oh, get out of here with that. Like, I'm a man who lives in America. We don't do feelings. Like, that's crazy."
It worked for James O'Barr.
And Jim Starlin as well, because that's where the Death of Captain Marvel came from. And I thought of both those guys. And so I thought, well, maybe he's got a point. Like there is something to this in comic books even. And so what happened is I then had to start thinking, like, what kind of a story do I want to tell? And I had a story going back into the 90s that I've always had in the back of my head. And I finally felt like, hey, I think I've got the characters I could tell the story with. But I didn't want to just kind of jump into that because I wanted to build up to it, because the more attached people get to characters and everything, the more they care.
Yes.
And so I found myself in like a George Lucas situation. Like, well, now I've got like this trilogy of stories I want to tell, but it'd be like parts 4, 5, and 6 in a way. And I didn't want to just start with those because I knew I'd never go back and do 1, 2, and 3, or it'd be like 20 years later or something. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start book 1. And, I had to figure out what is book 1 then, like kind of reverse engineering. And so I came up with stuff that I liked. And it also kind of addresses the different stuff I've been feeling and going through and whatnot, but in a superhero concept or frame. And I was talking to my sister one day about it. She was asking, like, so what are you going to do? Like, because I said I want to do a graphic novel. And I have 2 young nieces, and my youngest niece overheard us talking. And she came up to me, and this is like 2.5 years ago. I guess she'd have been like 5 or 6 at the time. And she looks up to me and says, "Uncle Bill, will you do a graphic novel about girl superheroes?" And you can't say no to that. It's like a Disney cartoon. She had these big eyes, and, it's like, oh. But everything started falling into place for me. It was like her saying that just kind of was like, it was a cloudy day, and a hole poked in the clouds, and the sun was coming through, and it was like
somebody hit the F sharp way up on the keyboard.
Exactly. So I was like, hey, that kind of all makes sense. So that's when it really started kicking into gear, and I could sit down, I could really start plotting everything. And it was just like all came together for me. And so I started drawing it. I think it was early January of like 2019 now. And I was really gunning for a 2020 release, only because Iron Man of 2020 was always a character I thought was cool when I was a kid. Because I always thought, like, oh, 2020, I'll be like an old man by then. Like,
I know.
Tony Stark won't be Iron Man anymore. It'll be this other guy. And so I just thought 2020 would be cool. Little did I know 2020 would be the opposite of cool.
Yeah, 2020 came gunning for us.
Right. So then my work totally lied, claiming that we were essential. And then they wanted us working mandatory overtime. So I was like, okay, 2020 is just blown out of the water. I'm not going to be done with this book. And so that crept into 2021. And now finally here we are. And I managed to get 68 pages done. I penciled, inked, colored it. The book is done. I'm still messing with the colors, like mostly background stuff, and because I want it to look like an 80s cartoon. Because I grew up reading the Bronze Age of comics and watching way too many 80s cartoons, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Silverhawks, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, all that kind of stuff. And so that's the kind of coloring style I wanted, like the bright, vibrant, primary colors. Not like a lot of comics nowadays, to me, they just look like they're overdone with the colors. And I mean, on the one hand, it can look cool, especially if you've got someone like Iron Man who's all shiny and everything. But on the other hand, it's like,
You can
I always think back.
effects.
I think back to the 90s, like when Photoshop was new, and like any character had like a belt buckle on. It was like these bright, shining, flares coming off it. And it was like way overdone because everybody's going crazy with Photoshop.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of scale that back in a way to kind of give it the feel of like it was in the 80s or something, even though it's set in the present day. And
I went all out and bought the 16 color box of crayons, not that 8 color box.
You didn't get the 64 with the sharpener in it?
Oh, yeah. Well, duh, only the rich kids had the sharpener.
Now, I do work with a colorist. She lives in Canada, and she's the one who colored the cover and the back cover and like the prints that I've made and stuff. She does a spectacular job. Ideally, like God willing, this is funded and books 2 and 3 and everything else starts coming out, I can hire her on to take care of the interiors as well.
But right now, everything interior is all Bill.
It's all Bill, for better or worse.
Colored letters.
Yep. I did have a friend of mine who's a writer. He's already read it, proofread it. I got that back. I did the corrections, any typos or anything that was wrong with it. So, I mean, when I say it's done, it's done. Because I wanted it to be done because I'm a first timer at crowdfunding. So I didn't want to be someone who was like, hey, I'm making this book. Just trust me, it'll be done. Like I wanted to have it done. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm already actually like 15 pages into book 2 with the pencils and inks.
There you go.
I mean, I just kept going. I'm probably going to cut it if I hit page 20, like just shelve it for the time being so I can concentrate on this. But, I wanted to have it done, like the tiers, the stuff for that I wanted to be like 90% done. So that way, if this does turn out late into getting into everyone's hands, it's not my realm of control. It's like the printing press broke down at the printer or something crazy like that,
It's interesting, though, because the whole idea of crowdfunding is that, hey, I can make this thing, but I need money to do it. Give me money so that I can make this for you. But, we've had so many screw-up guys and con artists that just take the money that now we're at a point where people feel like I have to put all my money into this and then try to recoup it back. And I've had it said to me before, it's like once you've got it all done, why crowdfund after that? Just put it on Amazon,
Right. Well, if you can get it printed, because that costs money and everything too. It depends, I guess, on the printer you use and how nice you want the package to look and everything. Because I wanted a perfect bound graphic novel, and it's not exactly cheap to get a bunch of them printed.
Oh yes,
it depends, I guess, on what your definition of cheap or expensive is. I'm someone that's like, hey, if it's like $100, that's money.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of folks in the chat here. James Hayes is here. He's giving you a thumbs up +1 for that Star Wars. Geez, Secret Wars.
The Secret Wars, yeah.
Secret Wars shirt. I knew that, but
with Thor and Mr. Fantastic on it.
That is one of the only 2 company event crossovers that was ever worth a darn.
I love the Secret Wars. I mean, I was a kid at the time, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, between that and Crisis on Infinite Earths, I was reading, it's like, I hope they do one of these every year. And God damn it, they did.
Why did you say that?
I don't know. I should have kept my mouth shut because I've never been able to do it right again.
I always like the summer annual crossovers myself, like the Evolutionary War or Atlantis Attacks, because that way it's confined to the annuals. It didn't necessarily have to bleed over in all the comics. You didn't have to get everything if you didn't want. So I miss those days.
Oh, well, hey, I go back further than that, man. I go back to missing the summer crossover that wasn't a crossover. It was just an appearance in Justice League of America. That's when the Justice Society would show up for Crisis on this Earth or Crisis on that Earth. It was every summer.
Wow.
It was, there they were. It was in that June issue. And by God, if it was the July issue, it was really good because it was a 2-parter. And every once in a while, there was a 3-parter because, oh my God, it's the Justice Society and the All-Star Squadron and the Legion of Superheroes. What is going on?
Too much to be contained.
Oh, that was just, I'm sitting there shaking, holding it. And those George Perez covers.
Oh, he's one of the best.
And you see people steal that style for those covers, those specific story covers where you'll see like the heads go down one side of the page and heads go down the other side of the page. It's when you see
like
that,
you're Tom Byrne floating heads.
Oh, yeah.
I had to do that for my characters.
Yes. Yeah, you get those floating heads and they're all like, and they're not just in the old books, they were there just, because you could tell they'd taken the stock art of each one and just shown them down the list. But in the Perez ones, they'd be like looking on aghast at whatever the scene was in the middle of the page. Like,
yep.
Oh my God, who's dead?
I noticed, I'm a big Avengers guy. I've always been an Avengers guy. And I noticed, in the older issues, say Ultron is fighting the Vision, and then you'd have Thor, Iron Man, and Mantis or something. And they're always John Romita drawn heads. And they're always doing that, the aghast look, oh no. Which, as a kid, it was oh, if they're worried, this must be a big deal.
It's a very big deal. Yeah, Creators Outlet will. Yes, you're right. It's all my fault. It's that. James was a big fan of Doom 2099, but you know what? If you're young enough, James, you'll be here in 2099, and you'll be like, we still got the same Doom. We didn't get Arno Stark in 2020. We didn't get Machine Man. So,
yeah, I thought when I was a kid, I thought Arno Stark was going to be Iron Man in 2020 because I didn't know what a status quo was. I mean, I also thought in that spectacular Spider-Man issue when he turned into the Lizard that he was just going to be Spider Lizard from then on. It didn't occur to me he's Marvel's corporate mascot or status quo. I was just oh, I'm 5 years old and I'm I just found out how cool Spider-Man is. I finally get his comics and he turns into a lizard. That sucks.
Well, comics are the number one source of jaded adults because after more than one of those Spider Lizard books, you're sitting there reading oh, Bane just broke Batman's back. He'll get better, but Barbara Gordon doesn't. Don't matter.
Yeah, you're just not supposed to think about that. Why can one person be all recovered from that, but not another person the exact same injury?
Exactly. I remember Death of Superman. It was did you get that Death of Superman? Oh, yeah, I got it. It's a collector's issue. Oh, man, I'm going to buy a house. Why? I said, because he's dead. He's coming back.
I remember saying that to people. They're how many copies do you get? I said, none. And they're why not? I'm it's not going to be worth anything in a year or so. You're not going to put yourself through college or anything with it. I mean, for one, they printed 8 million copies.
Yeah. And
for another, he's coming back, just like you said. He's not staying dead. He's Superman.
I had a friend who cornered the market on Death in the Family Part 3 with the death of Jason Todd in it. And I was like,
the phone in?
Yeah, the phone in one. And the one where it was revealed that he was dead after that. So I was I actually had faith at that point that Jason Todd was dead. And at least he stayed dead for a good long time until Superboy Prime punched reality, and I was like, wait, what? How's that come again? I mean, I'm buying almost all the comic book physics that there are, with parallel Earths and everything. But a lot of that's based on real quantum physics that these guys were reading about. The Einstein-Rosen-Podolsky bridge and what have you. And flash facts were flash facts.
Right.
But, punching reality, inhaling internet gas. What?
I punch reality every day. I'm having road rage, but nothing happens.
Nothing.
I never brought anyone back from the dead doing that.
No, maybe got almost there yourself sometimes if you're driving.
The only people that stayed dead in comics are Captain Marvel and Uncle Ben. You used to be able to say Bucky as well, but he's back.
Exactly.
Jason Todd you could throw in, but he's back.
Aunt May didn't even stay dead.
No. If anyone, it should have stayed dead. It should have been her.
And you know what? She shouldn't have been that old to begin with, really.
Right, because she's his aunt. So she should be a contemporary of his parents.
Yeah, exactly.
So
she should be as old as his mother.
Grandma.
Yeah, is she like his great aunt or something?
Yeah, because she was always like 100, which even as a kid, I was always like, why is this aunt so old?
Yeah.
Like, I had aunts and they were like my mom's age and they weren't old, So like as an adult, I get it now. Like initially they were going for the whole kindly grandparents with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And also because they didn't know Spider-Man is still going to be around 60 years later. And here we are talking about him.
Yeah.
But
it's easily have him living with his grandparents.
Right. They could have done that or just made them younger had they realized like Spider-Man's would be around a long time.
Well, they eventually did make May younger. I mean, look at the Kents. The Kents went from being, grandparents to middle-aged, younger parents again. And then old again with Superman was an adult. So Martha Kent has been up and down the scale.
Hey, we're talking the comic book aging. I remember when Kitty Pryde first debuted in the X-Men, and she was like always said to be 13 and a half. So she was like old enough to be my babysitter because I was in like kindergarten. And then somehow she turned 15 in an issue of Excalibur the same year I turned 15, which I thought was cool because that meant like, hey, we're like the same age.
We can date now.
Normally, Normally you never know like a comic book character's age. They always keep that vague. But I was like, hey, we're actually the same age. That's neat. And then somehow now like I'm in my 40s and she's like in her early 20s and I'm like, comic book aging is like whack.
Yeah. Well, like that comedian says, the best thing about high school girls is I get older, they stay the same age. Yes, he was very, very wrong, but funny.
Was that Matthew McConaughey?
I don't think it was him, but so James
in a movie, I mean, not like
in
real life.
Oh well, yeah. Are we better with the status quo, or should superheroes age? I'm fine with the status quo. I mean, it's Archie's been in high school for 80 years, and it hasn't, really bothered him that much. James Bond, they just, he's not really. How old would James Bond be if he actually experienced all the movies that we've seen him in?
I think he'd be dead now.
Yeah, exactly.
Or close to.
Indiana Jones is aging only because they insist on using the same actor all the time.
Right.
I mean, they could have, recast Indiana Jones just as easily as they recast James Bond or Superman.
Hey, have Harrison Ford fall into the fountain of youth at the start of the movie. He comes out and he's Chris Pratt. Done.
I like it.
Because I would do right here.
That would be the next best Indiana Jones movie. Indiana Jones and the Fountain of Youth. Or something else that he could find in, southern Florida or wherever, South America, and actually find Ponce de Leon's Fountain of Youth.
Yeah. That's a whole movie right there. Or that could be the start of it where that's how you get the younger actor, and then he can go off to another adventure for the rest of the movie. Something
it's like Star Trek, when they went to time travel, we went back in time and changed it. And now, now Chris Pine is, Captain Kirk. Who went from ensign to captain in the heartbeat of a couple scenes. Like, what? Wait.
He actually wasn't even an ensign. He was a cadet.
Yeah. He just took over the ship.
My mind I still can't wrap around that idea. Like, what? You don't leave a cadet and then just become the captain of the ship. There's a lot of people ahead of you in rank.
Oh, well, apparently not. He got promoted to first officer right then and there, and
but that would just be a temporary. See, this is the problem that I have with Star Trek. Like, I'm a big Trek fan, always have been. But like the original Star Trek, it was written by guys who were in World War II. They were military vets. They understood how ranks worked and the chain of command and everything. Nowadays, it's written by guys like me, whose idea of the military comes from G.I. Joe. And, like Captain Kirk leaves the academy and becomes the captain of the ship. There's like no sense there.
Wouldn't that be cool, though, if the military was G.I. Joe? You got to go in, they're like, pick yourself out of uniform, boy, put it together later tonight. And, and you come out with, like, a red, white, and blue T-shirt and a chainsaw. And like, what's that for? It says, just call me Ripsaw from now on, sir. You got it, Ripsaw. And then there you are. It's G.I. Joe. You just go fight people with your weapon of choice.
Like where they have a gun with a chainsaw on and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, U.S. military done on Fortnite style. I should show the comic. Sometime today we should get this thing up here. By the way, if you've been cheating and reading ahead, people, the link you used the link that was below the video, which please do click through that and check it out. James says he's been looking at the cover for Super G.A.L.S, which means somebody's been reading ahead. This discussion made me wonder: has Bill considered having a little bar at the top with all the heads of the hero characters in the book? Which is not a bad idea looking at the cover myself, because you get the opportunity to like label them. Let me give you a full screen.
There's a reason why I drew the heads. There's even a few you can't see because I did them in blue and I haven't inked them yet.
Yeah.
But I was thinking for inside the book, having like a key chart or something like that to just tell you who everyone is. So even though I did my best to explain in the story who everyone is, that's just kind of, you can just go in looking like flashcards, almost like cheating a little bit. So I would love to, moving ahead into book 2, 3 and whatever, I'd love to have the floating heads in the corner box, like up in the corner or something, just because as a kid, I loved those issues, the Avengers, just looking at the heads, and you got to see like who was on the team and everything. I just always thought that was a really cool idea.
And don't forget, as creating your own comic, you get to be responsible for branding how good it is to begin with. So you can write right there above Super G.A.L.S, crowdfunding's greatest comic book.
I got to think like Stan Lee.
You got to think like Stan Lee. World's greatest comic magazine, according to what poll did you take, Stan? But nobody likes it. Just keep putting it out there, and instantly you start thinking.
Someone asked John Byrne, like, so how true was that? Like, what were the studies or the facts that said the Fantastic Four was the greatest comics magazine? He was like, "Oh, Stan just made that up."
Of course he did. Iron Man wasn't invincible. He got beat all the time. And those X-Men weren't quite so uncanny. Sometimes they were kind of, like prosaic. The prosaic mutants.
I always did love the adjectives describing everyone.
Yeah. Now, but although Hulk was always incredible and Spider-Man was frequently amazing.
Thor was always mighty.
And oh my goodness, we're getting a lot of Spanish in the chat now. I'm sorry. I won't be able to read it because I'll just I can't read it. I did not take Spanish. Brian Kreisgau, early, yes. Refrigerator Perry's weapon was a football at the end of a rope when he joined the Joes. And Refrigerator Perry is now the principal, high school principal at Miskatonic High. If you're ever checking out that series on Kickstarter from Mike O'Shea and company there. So 12 issues in on a crowdfunded book. So there is a future in this business for people who want to keep at it. So who do we have? We have Moonbird, the acrobatic sonic voiced combatant, the Butterfly, size changing wonder. Oh, cool! I like the Wasp Atom kind of characters. Bellona, The
Yeah.
I was going to say Bologna, the tastiest sandwich in the bunch. Bologna, the strongest woman on earth, and all-American girl, the patriotic young heroine. So, do you have any images you want to share on the screen that you can do that with, or artwork you want to throw up here? You want to just stick with what's on the campaign?
I'm not sure if I can. Let me see here. I mean, I know how to share my screen if I'm looking at a web page like you're doing. Oh, wait a minute. I think I can. Hold on just a second here while I...
You can share a, what is it called? You can share an application. So if you have if you don't want to share your whole screen and you have like a window open with paint in it or a JPEG image, you can just select that from the list under the Share Applications tab.
Let me see. Can you see this here? The blue
Not yet. Have you shared it yet?
I thought I was. Hold on just a second. Okay, is that not coming through still?
No, I'm not. Usually I'll get a little pop-up window here at the bottom with the other windows we've got.
For some reason, the share button, it won't let me click it. So it's like hollowed out. I can't do anything with that.
Oh, well, then it's not going to let you do it. We'll just go with the art that's here.
Yeah, because I have a store where I have prints and a few comics for sale. And actually,
you can tell me the link in the private chat, and I'll put that out in the chat here.
Oh, yeah. Duh, that would work. Let me just copy that.
And then I can share it, it'll work.
Yeah, that'll work better, I guess. There we go. Just sent it to you.
All right, so is this the first time we're going to be seeing any of these characters, or have they been in your black and white work beforehand?
Actually, the series of Ages of Wonder, there's 3 issues for sale at my store, and All American Girl was the main character. They were a split book, like in the style of like the old Marvel Tales of Suspense and Tales to Astonish and stuff. And so she appears in those 3 issues, which those are kind of a prequel to the graphic novel here. And in fact, the way I have it all plotted, book 3 is going to wrap up the storyline points from Ages of Wonder.
And I have got that right.
There we
go.
Look at that. Yep. Yeah, the top 3 there are the first 3 issues the only 3 issues of Ages of Wonder.
Now, when were you making these?
What's that?
When were you making these books?
2015, I think, if memory serves. Yeah, because Dale died in 2016. Yeah, so it had to have been 2015. And then underneath that, there's 4 different prints. If you want to click on the first print, I'm using my cursor to point at it, but you can't see it. It's the group shot in the purple and blue hues. Yeah, right there. That's just a good group shot there. Okay. But that's going to be the back cover of the graphic novel, and it's also a print that I'm offering on the second tier. It's going to have holographic colors on it. But this is the original 5, if you will. Like I said, I was a big Avengers fan, and I always loved how the team would rotate. People would come and go, and new members join and everything. So they're the original 5 here. I'm still using my cursor to point at stuff.
Here's my cursor. We'll start at the top. Okay,
that's the butterfly up top. She's the size changer. You got All American Girl on the little mountaintop peak there. And then you got Moonbird below her. And then you got Enchantra, the magic one. And then you got Balana up in the front.
Okay. Bill, you've read comics before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. What's wrong with you, man? These girls, first of all, they're dressed. And second of all, they're not bursting out of the clothes that they're wearing. So, do you want to sell these things or not? Come on. No, seriously though, it's cool that you're not going with this whole, I got my costume at Fredericks of Hollywood kind of thing.
No, I wanted to avoid that. I mean, I do have 2 young nieces, and they both want to read it, and so I had that in the back of my head, and also, I just wanted to go. I just wanted like a classic superhero book, but even still, my youngest niece yelled at me about Moonbird. She's like, "I can see your boobs," and it's like, no, you can't. But I guess because there's a little skin there, like to her, that means you can see her boobs. I think she was busting my chops.
Well, that's what kids do.
But I mean, they're in form-fitting costumes, so I mean, but that's just the trope of the genre,
Of course. Well, ever since Superman, I mean, basically, like every other art student who was doing figure drawing, they were drawing nudes, and they just colored, draw a line and color it in. So it's that's why superheroes wear spandex. It's not because it's easy movement. They could have just as easily been wearing chinos and khakis and everything else. But we were drawing. Well, we weren't drawing. I wasn't drawing. I wasn't even there then. But they were drawing what they were classically taught to draw, which was the nude figure, and then publishable, paint it.
They were also based on the circus strongmen and circus performers, because they would wear the tight outfits and everything while they're walking the trapeze and lifting the big weights and everything. And then also the costumes, if they were skin tight, could go underneath your clothes, your civilian clothes. So it was all like multiple reasons. But yeah, I mean, going to its basic, like you said, just like drawing the figure illustration. Look at the old statues from like ancient Greece.
Yeah.
I mean, all the gods and goddesses were pretty much naked.
That's all they painted. I was like, did they not wear anything in ancient Greece? I mean, had they not freeze to death?
I mean, it's warmer there than here, but still, you want to wear something.
All I know is that David is looking down from heaven. He's like, did he have to sculpt me right after I got out of the pool?
Where's my fig leaf?
Yeah. I was like, that's not the most flattering sculpture of a man. How did we get to here? Let's talk. Hey, guys, Bill's got a book. Right over here. We should be looking at this. Pay no attention to this idiot behind the screen in the green shirt. So you've already said this is going to be like an 80-page, the 80-page giant kind of thing.
68.
68. I'm sorry. I don't mean to oversell it, but
yeah, I don't want to draw more for this one.
Well, hey, Bill, you know how to fill this in. It's only 12 more pages. This is where fan art pinup comes in.
Oh, that's true. I guess, yeah. If I wanted to go that route, I could stuff some more pages in there, huh?
You could do the whole, handbook of the Marvel Universe, DC Who's Who thing, and just like, hey, look, here's All American Girl, and a paragraph going down the whole side of the page telling you everything about her, and that's 5 pages right there.
I was using the Death of Captain Marvel a lot as my kind of my go-to as I was thinking of how I wanted it to look, like as a package. And that's just like, you open it up and there's like the 2 blank pages, or no, one actually has like the name of the graphic novel and by Jim Starlin. And then you just go right to the story. And then at the end, there's like 2 blank pages and like, that's it. So like I was kind of wanting mine to be something like that, but you have to do it in pages of 4, the way that they make them. So like I'm going to have a dedication page, to explain who Dale is and everything. And then I think I'm going to have a page with the floating heads telling you who everybody is. And then hopefully the last couple pages will just be blank. So it's 68 pages of story, but it's going to be at least 72 pages physically. Wait, did I add that right? Yeah, 72. That's 4.
I think so. What's going to happen, though, is you're going to hit about 100 pages by the time you're done.
No.
Stretch goals are going to get hit. Ideas are going to pop in. It's like, oh, well, we could do this.
Well, see, I don't have any stretch goals because I wanted to keep it as simple as I could my first time out. And like, to me, stretch goals be like, once it's funded, you can worry about stretch goals, and it's not funded yet. So like, I just want to get to the funding stage, you know?
Where are we at on that too? 1,600 out of 5,000, 32 days left. So you went and just did give me 60 right off the bat.
There was 60 when I started.
Yeah. All right.
So I guess that's 28 days in. But then I guess I also have the option where I can extend it an additional 30 days. Like,
well, I think you have the extension of 30 if you started at 30. I think it's 30 with the 30 extension. I didn't know it was 60 with the 30 extension. If it is, great.
Maybe I better look into that then before I say too much.
But either way, let's not have to worry about it. Let's get this thing to $5,000 before 32 days is up and past. Because, you know, this looks like a fun book. And that's what people are really wanting right now is fun books that, you know, don't involve, you know. Now I'll tell you what, if I get this book and you know, I get past this first page here with the action and these girls are eating dinner for the rest of the book, I will hunt you down.
There are no scenes of anyone eating anything in this book. There's no dinner scenes. There's no walking through the park to discuss things, scenes. I'm trying to think of like all the boring stuff. There's no talking head scenes where they're telling you about what happened and you didn't get to see any of it. There's nothing like that.
Okay, good.
This is, like I said, I was thinking the Bronze Age of comics and the 80s cartoons I watched. Like, that's the inspiration for this stuff. So, like, that's what you'll be getting. If you see pages of them eating and stuff, it didn't come from me. I don't know who put it in there.
So when you're reading this book, folks, just be thinking in the back of your head, da 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 da. Let the theme run. James got a question here for nuts and bolts kind of thing. Wants to know: will the books be printed in the U.S. or are you going to print them overseas and have them shipped over?
As the name of the company implies, in the U.S. That's right. I already have a printer picked out.
It would kind of suck if you were sending it to China to be printed and you're going to call All American Comics. Like, wait a second.
That's something I thought of. Trust me. I have 3 separate printers: one for the prints, one for the poster, and then one for the book. All 3 are in the U.S.
Good deal. Keep the money at home, folks.
That's what I wanted to do, exactly.
So as I go down the page here, I'm going to look to the right here and look at the tiers as well, which means I may redo a couple of things as we get further down here. The Innocent Civilian tier, that's $20. That is the graphic novel. I love it. The very first perk on there is getting right to the meat of it. This is the book.
Like I said, I wanted them easy.
Yes, easy is good. We love easy. So 68-page story, graphic novel. Is it like, you know, here's the team, an adventure starts, we solve the problem, hooray? Is it?
It is the adventure. Well, the book starts with a bang, as you can see by the pictures. The real problem presents itself, and I guess I can tell you this much without spoiling things, because, you know, I don't want to spoil everything. But there's a lot of members of the team at this point, and it's basically like time's been good, and we all know what happens when times are good for too long, right? People kind of start letting their guard down. The super gals are kind of just used to, there's a fire, we go put it out, we go back home or do whatever. And so that's kind of the mindset they're in when the book starts. Then the real threat presents itself. Well, half the team is overseas dealing with a fire they're putting out. So the team that's left are mainly like newbies, and it's like an ad hoc team that has to be assembled to address the real threat. And it doesn't all go exactly to the way that they were hoping. And it's a book that has consequences. Let's put it like that. They're not always going to make the right decisions. And when they don't make the right decisions, there's problems. And those problems are going to have to be addressed. And it's not like today's comics. They're not being told how wonderful they are and being affirmed every time they turn around. So it's definitely like Bronze Age style, the way it's set up.
Yeah, I dig that, and they are law enforcement, as the name implies. Um,
Oh, let me say about the name. Dale came up with the name. Him being a writer, he loved his acronyms. I hate acronyms. I still can't tell you what SHIELD stands for. After like all my life. The only acronym I know to this day is AIM, is Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Yes.
That is the only one I know. Anything else, like, I have no clue. I think Dale just came up with the name to annoy me because he knows that I hate acronyms. And he had to really like talk me into it. And I think the way he talked me into it was like, they're the Guild of Augmented Law Enforcement Specialists, codenamed the Super G.A.L.S. And I was like, well, okay, that's cool, I guess. Like, it has like an 80s cartoon kind of vibe to it. And I was going to change the name when I was sitting down and doing the book. But then, like, I just couldn't think up anything that was cool or not already used or something. So I kept it. I went with it.
well, yeah. I mean, I used to consult with contract with the military in my younger days, so I got used to TLAs and XTLAs. TLAs, of course, are 3-letter acronyms, and XTLAs, which are longer, are extended 3-letter acronyms. It had 4 letters. It was still a 3-letter acronym. It was just extended.
So NASA would be an XTLA.
Yeah, it's an XTLA. It's an extended 3-letter acronym. My next question is about the team itself. Why is it just women? I mean, no, I get it. It's a book about a team of women, but if there's like more members being added all the time, how do no guys get in this group? Or
that's something that actually pops up in the course of the book, because there is a guy who will be assisting them. I'm always going to have 1 or 2 guys there, like as guest stars. I'll call them, for lack of a better term. Basically, it just ended up that way as the official in-story explanation. See, I'm not wanting to spoil stuff that'll be covered, but basically, when we were creating characters and stuff, I wanted to draw women. And
enough reason.
When I was a kid, I was always drawing, like, I love Spider-Man. He was my favorite. So I was always drawing superheroes, and especially Spider-Man. When I got a little bit older, the Transformers came out, and I never looked back from that point. Like, I'm a big Transformers guy. And so I was always drawing Transformers. Well, the one thing that robots and men have in common when you're drawing them is they're angular in the way you draw them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was like into my teens when I realized, like, I've never really drawn women. And so, like, I was all the way back at square one. Like, how do I draw women so they're not looking like robots or men, And so I kind of took it as a challenge. Like, how do I do this where I can draw women that look like women? And I don't know, just one thing led to another. And like I said, I wanted to draw women to be a challenge myself. And being a guy, it was just more fun drawing women.
You were a teenager. You were drawing robots. I'm going to draw a woman now. Let's see the curve here, curve here, curve here. I feel funny.
I felt funny because how bad it looked. I remember, like, I still have the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Oh, everybody should.
And going through that, like, and how to draw women just repeatedly, like, how do I do this? How am I, why can't I get this down? Because I was just so ingrained in drawing Transformers and superheroes and stuff,
Yeah.
Oh boy, that was a years-long adventure.
I used to draw, try to draw Spider-Man as a kid, and I'd like draw him once or twice, and I'm like, how in the world do they keep the same artist on the book without going insane all the time? Because it's like, that's a lot of webbing to draw on there.
I've always heard from artists that they treat it like a Zen sort of exercise. Like, they'll go through and just draw everything and then go back to do the webbing. And so they'll know they just have a day of just sitting there and just calmly doing the webbing detail. To me, I agree with you. Like, that's like, holy smokes, that would drive me crazy. But
Yeah,
that's what they're paying you for. That's your job.
yeah. Spider-Man's webbing, and Black Canary's fishnets. I'm like, seriously?
Oh yeah, I hate drawing fishnets because line, and then you got to make like the lines like X's and keep it consistent.
And it's got to curve around the curve of the leg, so it's like,
right. I hate that kind of stuff.
And then I found out that they were just cutting, shapes out of Zipatone and sticking it on there. Like, oh,
wow, Zipatone.
Yeah, well, I'm old school, man.
I remember Zipatone back from like my early college days.
Yeah.
Now it's all Photoshop, so you don't need it anymore.
In college, it was like I was like 85 to 88 for me, and I was editor of the school newspaper. So yeah, it was one of the we went light years into the future when I was there, because we went from taking we'd go to the print store and buy sheets of letters that we would like dry rub onto the.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we were like, this is fun, but Paul, you have an Apple IIe with a dot matrix printer. Why aren't we just printing things at 96-point font? And boy, we started coming out with like and you could tell it was grainy. It was that angular, because it wasn't going to be smooth. But we were putting out stories a lot faster. It's like, yeah, we'll just make that a big font. We didn't have to go buy the headline lettering again anymore. Figure all that out. It was like we're much faster. Center that. Then does it reach across the column? No, print it again a little bit bigger.
So I was in college after you, and like the rubbing letters, like that was already gone by the time I was there. Yeah. I mean, Zipatone was already starting to kind of make its way out. Well, because Photoshop had already just come into existence.
Oh, geez. So I won't even bore you with the stories about how we used to chisel it into the rock before the rubbing letters.
While you're fighting off a dinosaur at the other end.
Well, you had to fight the dinosaur first, because usually you had to take his big tooth. That was your chisel. Sidekick tier, $30 US. You get the graphic novel and you get the print, which is the 5 characters that you showed us before.
Yes.
In holographic colors. Now,
yep.
now these colors look flat to be holographic. So how is this holographic? Tell me what's going to go on here.
I ordered it to see what it would look like, and they told me like, oh, it works best on blues and purples, and that's what made me think of this image, because I was like, oh well, perfect. I have the right thing in mind here.
Yeah.
And I got to give a lot of credit to Sarah, because she colored this. And I had told her that I wanted to look like kind of an 80s type picture, like as far as the colors go. And she colored this, and she was like, well, what do you think about this? And I was like, I love it. Awesome. So the holographic colors are like, kind of look like flecks, for lack of a better description. And it's into like a plastic coating, I guess, that's over the image. I'm describing this not good. I mean, it's in the color, but it has like a glossy kind of sheen to it. Okay. And so when you hold it in the light, it like reflects off, and it does in the blue and the purple. It really stands out the most like that.
You get your lens flares for real coming at you.
Yeah, because I tried to take a picture of it to show my older niece, but because she was wanting to see what it looked like, but all the light was coming off it. It just looked like lens flares all over. So I was like, you just got to see it yourself, because it won't look just right.
Oh, I like the banter here where she's, taunting the robot, or, man in a robot suit, maybe.
No, it is a robot, yeah.
Didn't your mama teach you not to hit girls back when you were still a circuit board? I get what you're going for there.
I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun dialoguing it. I didn't think I would. And then I had done all the dialoguing over the course about 4 days. And then I put it aside, and I was working on something else. I forget what. I was coloring it. And then it came time to letter it. And I was actually laughing at some of the stuff that I had written and forgotten about. And so when I gave it to my friend for proofreading, he had texted me back like, yeah, I'm making my way through the book, and I keep cracking up at these different scenes. And so I was like, oh, thank you for saying that. So it's not just me laughing at myself, like it's funny, not scenes, but dialogue, it's throughout the book.
Yeah, well, we got into that again with Spider-Man. He was always the wisecracking superhero when he was fighting. Like, how do you have time to say all of that while you're swinging and running? But
Spider-Man and Hawkeye were his two of my favorites, and they were both known for being like that. They're always putting down the villains and insulting everyone. So that's definitely going to show through.
Yeah, see, I would have overworked it because I'd have said, I'd written something like, didn't your motherboard teach you not to hit girls back when you were still a chip?
That's not bad either.
Yeah. Superhero tier, since it's here now, you get the look at you go, man. You're just every tier is just something added onto it, not this whole A and B, A and C, C and B, and
no, I couldn't keep track of that either, so I didn't want to do that.
I love it. Making my job easier here. $42, you get the graphic novel, the print that we just saw, and the glow-in-the-dark poster. Okay. I'm listening.
Yeah, the poster, that's the artwork for it. I mean, it's not completed, of course, but
her
it's up in Cantra. And I talked with the printer, and he was saying, well, green obviously works best for glow-in-the-dark.
Yes.
I just happened to make up the rules that the energy signature of magic is green. And so I was like, I have the perfect person for this. And I had already drawn this picture of her and didn't know what to do with it. And so I thought this would be a cool poster. Sarah could color a cool green background for it. And it would be perfect for a glow-in-the-dark poster. So that's the only thing that's really not complete. The graphic novel's done. The print is done. The artwork for this is done, but it still needs to be colored. That's the only thing. But yeah, I talked with the printer and everything. He's all a go. And I just thought it'd be cool to have a glow-in-the-dark poster. When I was a kid, the Transformers for a while were sold with 4 individual mini posters. You put them together and make one large image. And I recently found those posters tucked away in a box. And I pulled them out, and I was like, gee, I wonder if these still glow in the dark, like 30 odd years later. Dude, they still glow in the dark. I don't know what kind of radioactive glow dust they used back in the 80s, but I was like, holy cow, this thing still works?
Just phosphor paint.
So that started me thinking, like, why don't I do a glow in the dark poster? I mean, if nothing else, kids would like it. Who doesn't like a glow in the dark poster?
Well, it's 16 by 20, which is not small.
Right.
Which, now I have to ask, about shipping, because how are you going to deliver that? You can fold it, you can roll it. That's the only options.
Right. I don't want to fold it if possible. So I'll probably just have to roll it. And then send it in a separate container, because the rest would be in like a Gemini box, but send them together. I mean, that might just have to be what I have to do is all. But
you're not going to fold it, which, some people fold them. I've gotten folded posters before. I
don't mind an 11 by 17 poster folded. I mean, that's the way they came in comics all the time.
Yeah.
Like they'd be folded in the middle of the comic, But at 16 by 20, I'd really rather not fold. So those are probably, I'll just fold them up, tube them, and send them out that way.
There you go. It's going to drive your shipping up, but.
It'll drive the shipping up, yeah. But sometimes it's just kind of worth it.
True. You do what you got to do to deliver quality. Cosmic Being tier, $100. Okay. So the print, the graphic novel, the glow-in-the-dark poster. It keeps getting bigger and better. And you don't drop off anything so far that I've noticed. And a page of the original artwork. So you're only doing 10 of these.
2 are already taken.
That tells me you do this old school. You're not a digital drawer.
No, the coloring I did in Photoshop, of course, but everything, the whole book, it's 68 pages plus the cover, 69 pages of Bristol board that I've got sitting in a
family
cabinet.
Show.
What's that?
Watch it, family show.
Sorry, that was a PG drop. But yeah, I just pulled out 10 pages that I thought looked cool that people would like. And so probably what I'll do is if all 10 go, I'll contact those 10 people in order of when they bought them and be like, which of these pages do you want? So that way everybody can kind of get the one they want. But like 9 and 10 are just, they would be screwed because they're just the last two left.
Yep. You get what you get. I'm looking at the, I've got a bigger monitor over here so I can kind of see them in this space. These are some good looking pages here. I don't know how long you've been working on this book from page 1 to where you are now, but the pages I'm seeing here are actually advanced from the pages we're seeing that start the book out. So
yeah, I was trying to cover up a few things here and there so as not to give anything away. And even the actual 10 pages I put on there, the wording, like I was covering up stuff. So
yeah,
I was wanting to show you the pages while not showing you everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for spoiler
reasons. This one big close up here of the face where it's just the eyes and the nose. I'm like, oh, that's really well done. And then I can see the pose that's underneath of it. And then this page over here almost kind of looks like a little bit of anime here, where she's crouched down and her mouth is open, and I don't know. I've been watching too much anime lately. Ain't that a kick in the head? While she does it, Dean Martin smiling down on you, young lady. and you labeled them all Marvel. Did I miss that you labeled them all after Marvel stuff? The Cosmic Being tier and the One Above All tier, which is gone.
Yeah, that was actually the first one that sold.
So how did Green Lantern
end up for a few days?
So how did Green Lantern end up on this One Above All tier? What was that?
I just drew it.
Okay.
I actually did that like a while ago. I was just taking a break from the book. I seem to have a vague memory of my Christmas tree being up, so I probably drew it around Christmas time, like probably Christmas 2019. Oh, and I just for fun, I also did one of them wearing the X Factor uniforms from the 80s.
Oh, this is the team, but they're just wearing the outfits of the,
right.
Love that. Superheroes cosplaying as superheroes.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I just did it for funsies. So each of them are wearing a different uniform from the different Lantern Corps.
That's nice. I love it. I've only seen that actually done twice before in comics. It was always DC. The first one was when the Flash had to take Iris to a costume ball, and Iris was dressed as Batgirl. I think it's where Iris gets killed by the Reverse Flash, and the Flash goes as Flash. Yeah, it was a long time ago. This is way back in the early run. Flash just wore his own costume because at the costume party, who's going to know?
Right.
And then more recently, I think, was the costume party where it was in one of the Batman Superman books, where obviously Superman takes Lois and Batman takes Catwoman, and he dresses up as Superman, and Lois is dressed up as Catwoman while Superman's dressed up as Batman with the glasses.
Yeah, I saw that on the internet. Okay, yeah.
It was goofy. And Batman's like, I don't like this. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, he's too serious for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But Catwoman was trying to say, look, we're going to have a happy life. You should learn to do fun things before I leave you at the altar and throw you into a morass of misery for the next 20 issues, and the readers as well.
Yeah, no comment.
no comment. So, excuse me. So watching the fight here, he's a bit tough to take down, looks like.
Yes, he actually appears in Ages of Wonder issue 3, and All-American Girl, or no, issue 2, I'm sorry. And All-American Girl has to deal with him then. And so this is a return for him. Yep, that's his hand right there.
I clicked on it.
And she knows what it would take to defeat him here in the graphic novel, only he just seems tougher. And they do finally defeat him, but it does take quite a lot.
He doesn't say a
I
whole
mean,
lot.
a lot. It was fun drawing the scene when he gets taken down.
Excuse me, autonomous robot, sir. Oh man. All right, so this looks like a lot of fun. It's not a kid's book, but it is all ages, which so many people don't understand.
Yeah, I've been explaining that a lot. I just keep telling people it's like old comic books.
Yeah,
anyone can
Sergeant
read
Rock
it.
was all ages. Jonah Hex was all ages. They were gritty and they were dramatic, and there were people dying in them, but they were all ages because your adult could read them, put them down, not worry about their kid picking them up and reading them, because it was just there was nothing to worry about. You just had good story.
Yeah, entertainment.
Sometimes my mother worried about Warlord a little bit.
I was thinking of since the One Above All tier sold out, I was thinking about maybe offering the cover as like a new tier.
This is the cover where time's running out for the Super Gals.
Yes, I remember I showed my nieces this cover. My older niece really liked it. She thought it was cool. And then my younger niece, she looked at it. She goes, "So a giant skeleton locks them into a giant hourglass?"
Yeah, no metaphor concept. I love it. Yes.
I told her, you know what? I kind of like your idea better.
Yeah, exactly. If that had been a Justice League comic, that's exactly what the Key or Kanjuro would have done to him. It would have been, yeah, we really got locked in an hourglass. and we couldn't bust our way out.
But I was thinking of making that like the, I guess the second above all tier.
Yeah, the other one,
like the second 30 days, just so there's like a new thing to offer.
Yeah. Well, let's see, the celestial tier. I don't know. The one above all, you pretty much topped yourself there. So it's.
Yeah, but the one above all was a double page spread, whereas this is just a single. So, okay. But it's the cover. So maybe Celestial would be a good way to go.
The celestial tier, the Watcher tier. I don't know.
That's another good one.
So as apropos, absolutely nothing here. Just segueing off the wall. Being a Transformers fan, are you excited for the new Transformers to come out? Because they're going to do something with robot romance.
Are you talking about the series on Netflix or the figures?
I think it must be the series on Netflix.
Yeah, I just saw that Kingdoms, the third chapter of the trilogy series.
Yeah,
they call it a series or seasons, but it's only like 5 episodes per season. I don't really think of it as a season, but I didn't like the voice cast. I thought they just sounded very flat. It wasn't as energetic as it used to be, like back in the 80s. And Soundwave is like so hard to understand. Like they were trying to go for that Soundwave voice from the 80s, but like they didn't know how to do it. So he just sounds really bad. And the animation was nice. I thought they looked a little too much like the toys, as opposed to letting them look like robots like the cartoon used to do. I'm not a fan of romance with Transformers because they don't reproduce like that. So they wouldn't.
It's a beetle.
Well, they have the creation matrix. That's what makes new Transformer life.
Exactly.
I mean, back when I was a kid, they introduced female Autobots. I was like, why? What's the point? They don't need a girlfriend. They're not getting married or anything.
and they're the only way you could tell that they were girl Autobots was they were pink.
Pink or like a very powder blue, stuff like that.
Yeah, they were.
And they had lipstick.
It was an attempt by the toy companies, because these were 30-minute commercials. Come on, to say, hey, let's get girls to buy our product too. And so,
but everything in the 80s did that, though. I mean, He-Man spun off She-Ra, yes. And she stood on her own as her own franchise. The G.I. Joes had women Joes and Cobras. I mean, Transformers really was the only one that was boy centric like that.
Yep.
And they knew they were going to have RC in the Transformers movie. So then they figured, well, we better introduce female Autobots in the cartoon before that movie comes out. So it's not like, huh, what? You know, who is she? Where'd she come from?
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, everyone did that in the 80s. It just seemed out of place for Transformers to me.
I think that introducing female Transformers and female, the female Joes were fine because it was a human team, but as an incentive for getting girls into the toy line, I think that worked just about as much as Barbie inventing Ken got boys into the toy line. Wasn't there.
No, I never. No, I only knew one girl who liked Transformers. Now that I think about it, because I remember I traded her something for her smoke screen. But other than that, no, like no girls I knew were ever into Transformers.
Robots in Disguise, man, that movie was awesome though. That first Transformers movie, the one that went to theater, and I'm not talking about the Michael Bay. I'm talking about the animated one.
Still in my top 10 all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
I don't care what anyone says.
I need to get my hands on that one. I used to have that one a long time ago on VHS. Again, right after college.
I've had it in every format. VHS. I think I have 2 DVD copies, like the 25th and then the 30th anniversaries or whatever.
Oh, stop making me old, man.
I've got it every format. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. Like I watch it probably twice a year at least.
Okay. Well, I've got to get my hands on that one. That one and Rock and Rule, those were just, seminal classic animation things. I don't know why we're talking about animation. You have a book we're trying to sell. And it is, Super G.A.L.S, folks. And you can find the link to the Super G.A.L.S graphic novel right below in the description. So we hope that you've been clicking on that and, electing to back. It's a very simple campaign, very direct campaign, and it's not really a very expensive campaign. It's very reasonably priced for the book you're getting here, as well as the add-ons. And if my mouse will play with me correctly here and nicely, I'm going to finally get it up here to the top, and I'm going to reload it to see timpani roll. 1623. I have done absolutely nothing for you tonight, Bill. You have wasted your time on my show.
Sometimes it takes a while. Like I was on the Rabbi's show, and it wasn't until like the next day when money started coming in. So, I mean, I'm not worried about it.
Well, I am sure we have very active people that listen to the show. So we do have backers, and some of them are just coming to see you again. They've already backed you, and they just want to learn more about the show and show you support.
I'm not even in the comments. I'm in the private chat.
Yeah,
I was like, boy, nobody's
watching the whole time. Nobody's here. Yeah, we've had people watching and talking and throwing chats out.
Well, it's right because you even had chats at the bottom. Duh.
Yeah, well, you get thrown into the private chat by default when you come into StreamYard.
I know. I just forgot to click over.
Yeah, Leto Enchanted, welcome. I don't know if you're still hanging around, but glad you came here. All right, so we're over the hour, which means we were having fun talking about stuff, and that's good when that happens. This is going to deliver, and it is, it's a fixed goal. So if you don't make it, what do? You going to relaunch or?
My immediate plan would be to swear vengeance upon the world.
Good start.
I might end up wearing a mask like Baron Zemo to conceal my identity and become the most hated man in the city or something. But then after that, I don't know just yet. But I mean, I'll do something because much like George Lucas said about making Star Wars, by hook or by crook, this is getting made one way or another. So
and it's finished.
Yeah, it's finished.
It's finished. All it's got to do is
book 2 is already well into production, even so. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you'd have to be waiting on it. I put October for being the when it would be fulfilled, because I know it's just like 1 or 2 weeks for both the poster and the print, and they're at separate printers, so they'll be being printed at the same time. and the graphic novel is only supposed to be around 3 weeks or so, maybe a month, which would take us into October.
Right.
So as long as I'm fulfilling it by Halloween, no one can say I'm late.
There you go.
Assuming that there's not a printing press breakdown or something crazy. But even if there was something like that, I'm the kind of person, I hate things being late. So you better believe I would be putting like constant messages, like informing everybody what's going on, because I want everything to be on time and whatnot.
Communication goes a long way to forgiving late stuff.
Well, that's something else. Is I don't want my first one to be late and then people get mad at me about it. Yeah. So that's why I was like, I want this done so that way people aren't waiting on me, or it's like I'm just so burned out, I got to take a day off, and the whole time I'm just thinking like I should be drawing. People are waiting. This is late. I didn't want to do anything like that.
Well, you obviously didn't. The thing is done. Folks, pick a perk. Follow the link. Pick a perk. Take the top one if you've got to. Just get one out there. But get this book back. Other than that, I have nothing more to add but to say, Bill, thank you so much for bringing the Super G.A.L.S onto our channel tonight. I wish I could have presented you with more positive results and played our shake and bake moment to make sure that, because I always like to have one of those. But tonight we didn't. We have 32 days, so I would love to have you back on as you get closer to goal time, and hopefully be one of those non-pressure streams where it's like, hey, good, you're at 5,200. We can just sit here and talk about the book.
I'd love to come back on. Yes, thank you. That'd be great.
Anytime you want. The door is open. You know where the key is under the mat. Just hit us up. We'll have you here. Folks in the chat, we do appreciate you being here. We don't have a show without you. I encourage you to hit that share button so that you can get Bill's book in front of more eyeballs. Your social circle is different than my social circle and everyone else's. It's that whole ripple effect that helps get this thing seen by more people who hopefully will then also click through and pick up the book, which is what we are here for them to do. If you want to become a member of the channel, we have that available to you as well. Membership is a 99-cent membership. I don't have anything huge because I don't produce frog toys or trading cards. I just, I send you a keychain and a sticker and a button. So, if you want to hit the membership button for that, we appreciate that as well. But mostly we just appreciate you being here, listening to us, and helping out our creators. And our greatest hope is that while you are here,